Hey, Lyoko Warriors, this is Captain Yeet here for you for the CodeLyoko episode review. This is going to be CodeLyoko Season 2, Episode 12, titled Temptation Redo. So, let's get into it. So, I want to give a big shout out to Richie Pool. I'm not going to lie, I was kind of worried that you guys were bothered by me not showing myself on screen anymore because I've been showing myself for so long. But they commented when I asked the question last week that no, I'm not really bothered by that. So, thank you. That really eased it for me because I was really panicking. I'm not going to lie, I'm like, man, they must hate the videos now since I'm not showing myself anymore. But no, you guys said that you're not bothered by it, so thank you, Richie Pool. So anyway, let's get into the actual episode. Sorry for talking for so long. So the episode starts off with a theme song. After the theme song, we go over to all the Lyoko warriors in the forest sector fighting off against some hornets. We see Odd flying on his overboard. I mean, well, everybody's on their bikes and boards. Yumi's on the overwing. Odd's on the overboard with Alita, and Oric's on the overbike. Oric's able to take out two hornets with his 360 spin when he jumps in the air. Yumi ricochets her fan off the tree to help Odd out, and Odd is just taking out, some hornets with his laser arrows. There's this one funny scene to where it's kind of wild he was doing this, but they're in the forest sector, so there's a ton of trees. So Odd is like flying around his overboard with Alita, and he goes right in front of a tree. And at the very last second, he dodges out the way. Now, sometimes, the hornets, they will shoot the tree by accident because he dodges out the way at the last second, or sometimes the hornet will smack right into the tree because it's right behind Odd and it didn't expect him to just move. But still, that's really dangerous to do because he could smack into the tree since he's dodging at the very last second. Even Alita brings it up, like, why do you keep doing that at the last second? It's fun. She's like, that's not fun for me. Eventually, they're able to get her over to the tower. The Skipper Zora does come out, but they're able to take care of that pretty easily. She does go Lyoko. Everything's honky dory. Now, Jeremy specifically states that he's going to do a return to the past. Everybody's really confused because, as we learned a few episodes ago, that every time we do return to the past now, it makes Xana stronger. So maybe we shouldn't do it unless it's absolutely necessary. And Yumi doesn't think it's necessary because they were able to deactivate the tower before Xana was able to launch an attack. But that sounded kind of confused because what's the point of deactivating the tower if he hasn't attacked yet? 'Cause if he attacks, it's activated. So y'all just deactivating towers to deactivate the towers. I'm assuming Xana started to do whatever type of attack that's going on before we started watching the episode. And before he was able to do anything crazy, they were able to do this, as we saw. But that's kind of crazy. Now, my head canon has always been, I'm assuming they were either really they were like super next to the tower, like really close, or they were already in. I mean, not the tower, the factory. They were either really close to the factory, or they were already in the factory chilling. Xana activates, hey, let's get inside. So before Xana was able to do whatever he wanted to do, they deactivated it because they were already in the factory. But anyway, obviously they're like, Jeremy, that makes him stronger. What's going on? And he goes, look, do you guys not trust me? I know what I'm doing. They're like, we trust you, but we don't know what's going on, and you do. So why don't you just explain us? Like, explain to us. He goes, look, that's my final answer. I don't have to explain anything. Return to the past. They're like, Jeremy, that broke my heart, man. Especially Alita. She goes, Jeremy. She sounded so soft voice. She was like really concerned, like, what's happening? But he just doesn't. Then we jump cut to them in front of the vending machine. It's everybody but Jeremy. And Orc specifically states that he's kind of getting annoyed with Jeremy because he's been acting the way he just acted for the past about a week, almost 2 weeks now. And obviously that's going to get someone annoyed. Now, Yumi's assuming maybe it's family problems at home. I do want to show this one really cool shot of all of them. I mean, they're just standing, but I love shots like this. I love shots like this. But anyway, Yumi's assuming that maybe he has some problems at home, maybe some family problems, maybe, but they don't know for sure. Then Odd has an idea. The idea is not really good. He's assuming that it's like a Jekyll and Hyde sort of situation. Yeah, no. Like, yeah, I highly doubt it's that kind of situation that's going on with Jeremy. Eventually, Jeremy does show up. They ask him, hey, what's going on? Where were you? I was in my room. What, do you guys need to know where I'm at 24/7? Jeremy, chillax. Like, no, we're just kind of concerned for you. But eventually, the bell rings, so they have to go to class. Actually, no, I was gonna make up a group name for them, but everybody but Yumi, because Yumi's older, 1 year older. They all go to math class, and when they go there, for some reason, Odd is just drawing on this piece of paper. Now it's Odd, he's not really been known for paying attention in class too much, but still, come on, Odd, at least do something. You're acting like sissy now. Sissy, what was it? What episode was that? It was like a few episodes ago where they were like hyping up this crazy test that could make or break like their. I think it was episode 7. They're like, this could make or break or a whole grade. Everybody's panicking about it, and when they start taking a test, Sissy starts to draw on her paper. Just draw. Like she doesn't answer any questions. She just draws. Like, what are you doing? That was so stupid. But it was, that was so. It's like, why would you do that? Anyway, while the teacher's talking, and the stuff she's talking about, I have never heard in my life. I don't know what she's talking about on the board, but while she's talking, we go over to Jeremy and we go inside of his head. Now, inside of his head, he's in a white hallway, and one in the hallway is light. At the other end is darkness. The darkness starts to spread onto the light and tries to chase him and consume him. So he starts to run away, and then well, not exactly wakes up. He's not exactly asleep right now, but he does open his eyes and goes, "Can I please go to the infirmary?" And the teacher goes, "Yeah, of course. Look at this." I'm not gonna lie, when she was talking while we were just looking at the kids, and then eventually whenever we see the board, I'm like, what is she talking about? I have no idea. I've never heard this type of stuff in my life. Now, granted, I think I mentioned this maybe once or twice. I never took math 3 or 4, if that's what you guys have. I know I have math. I took math 1, I took math 2. After math 2, I was like, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pass high school if I keep having to do maths because I could barely do math 2. Now, granted, I had this one teacher that really could not teach. Like the whole class was basically failing because she really didn't teach the class. She just always told us look at our notes. She never help us or anything. She really just go. Most of the class was failing. And eventually, I had to take math 2 again with a different teacher. And the teacher I got after that with math 2, he knew how to teach. I was actually really good at math 2. Like it was only like math is my worst subject, but it was only ever 2 times I actually like decent at math. It was the 8th grade and the second teacher I got for math 2, because those two teachers could really teach math good. At least for me, they knew how to help me teach. I mean, they knew how to teach at least for me. Really well for me to somewhat understand it, so I can get like a decent grade. Not saying I had like straight A's or anything, but I had decent grades in those 2 classes for math. Because math is my worst subject. After taking math 2, I said, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pass high school. I gotta keep taking math, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But then they said I can substitute my last 2 maths with carpentry because there's math in it and they let you substitute for it. So that's what I did. I took carpentry 1 and 2 instead of taking the next 2 maths when I went to junior and senior year. And whew, I got, I got off. I got off, boy. Thank goodness I was able to do that because I was panicking a little bit if I had to take the next math after this. But anyway, after that, Jeremy has to go to the infirmary. Alita goes, "Hey, do you want me to go with you?" He goes, "No, I don't need no one right now." And so he keeps it moving. So after that, we go to the cafeteria, and everybody's kind of concerned for Jeremy because Org specifically states that Jeremy, he skipped math, he skipped gym, and now he's skipping lunch. I would go as well as Jeremy. Skipping lunch and gym makes sense, but skipping math, yeah, something's wrong. Something is very wrong here. Let's go check his room. Now, the only person that goes to check his room is Aelita. So Aelita goes to bring Jeremy some notes that he missed from the class that he skipped, and she walks over to him and goes, "Jeremy, hey, is everything okay? If something's wrong, you can tell me." He goes, "Nothing's wrong. I'm just, working. What's the problem? I'm working on the antivirus. Is that not a thing I should be working on?" Obviously, yes, you should be working on the antivirus, but you've been distant lately. You've been acting different. You've been rude. I mean, we can't even recognize you anymore. We're just concerned. Maybe you working on the antivirus is taking up too much time and warping you, so you should maybe take some breaks from time to time. He said he can't take any breaks because Xana doesn't take any breaks, so he has to keep on working. And when he says it, he's not like screaming, but there's like a tone to his voice, so he's talking kind of mean to Alita, and he kind of notices that. So he goes, "Look, Alita, I'm sorry. There's something I have to tell you." Now, before Jeremy's able to say whatever he wanted to say, the scanner goes off for activated tower. So he goes, "See, look, Zan doesn't take any breaks, so I can't take any breaks." And so they all go to the factory and they call everyone else. Now, when they call Yumi, Orc, and Odd, they're just watching Odd eat. Like he's chowing down, and Yumi goes, "So, are you done?" Like they were waiting for the Joker to finally finish eating. It's like watching Scooby and Shaggy eat. They're never gonna be done. Like my goodness, it's just so. Huh. So when that happens, Jeremy gives him the call. We have to hurry up and go to the factory. As soon as they get up, it's revealed that the tank that's Xana activated is taking over Rosa, the lunch lady. The lunch lady starts to move like the lunch lady from Danny Phantom, throwing plagues at them, throwing food. So Oric and I give us cover fire so Yumi can run out the cafeteria. When that happens, it's just Yumi and Alita on Lyoko, while Oric and Odd have to handle Rosa. So okay, that's what we're just gonna have to do. So as soon as they get to Lyoko, the ND mountain sector, and they can see the tower in eyesight. Like it's super close, but the biggest problem is there's 18 roasters in a line right in front of the tower. Yeah, that's a problem. Now Jeremy does I was gonna say eliminate. That was on the tip of my tongue. I was gonna say he eliminates the overwing. He materializes the overwing, but still might not be too good to fly because there's 18 roasters. They're gonna be lighting that thing up. So what are we gonna do? Now Yumi goes, you know what? I think I have an idea. Alita goes, look, if the idea is big or small, it doesn't matter as long as the idea works. Now, while this is happening on Lyoko, Orca Ada is still inside the cafeteria fighting against Roadster. It's not like a fight, like, they're throwing hands with her, but they're just throwing stuff at each other back and forth. But eventually, Ada and Oric, they're running out of stuff to throw, and Rose is getting closer and closer with her stuff. Yeah, not looking too good. Not looking too good. There was this one funny moment to where I think it was Oric. He threw a spoon at her. The spoon just falls to the ground. It's on the hits her, and then she steps on it. And when she steps on it, the ground cracks, and then the spoon dents. The spoon dents. The spoon dents. Like whoa. Okay, this might be a problem. This might be a really big problem. So Yumi's idea is that she uses her telekinesis and starts to levitate this gigantic boulder, and she uses this boulder as a bowling ball. It rolls down it rolls down the little hallway that the roadsters are on. Now, it doesn't destroy all of them. It destroys a good chunk of them, but not all of them. But when the giant boulder was coming towards them, everybody jumps up. Well, not everybody. All the roadsters jump out the way. They start to run away. Some of them get destroyed, and now they're scattered. So then Yumi gets on the overwing with Alita, fly over to the tower. Then they get inside the tower. CodeLyoko. Now, this is one of the instances to where, yes, Return of the Past is absolutely needed. Rosa destroyed a good chunk of the cafeteria. She passed out. You can't really lie your way out of this one. So, yeah, this is one of the instances to where, yeah, we need Return of the Past. So they do it. There's this one funny moment to where whenever Rosa gets really close to Oric and Odd, Oric goes, man. So this is how Tweety feels whenever Celester catches him. Those are the two Looney Tunes. If you didn't know, I thought that was really funny. They brought that up. Here's another really cool. Here's a cool shot of Yumi starting to levitate the gigantic boulder. Now, at first, it's like a gigantic like rock structure in front of him. I thought Yumi was gonna levitate that. That would have been wild. I mean, this is still really heavy and kind of hard for her to do. But levitating that giant rock structure would have been even crazier. Even levitating a boulder smaller than this, it kind of taxes Yumi because we've seen like Yumi's like struggling to even lift up a boulder in general. But we after the Return of the Past, everybody's in front of the vending machines again, but no Jeremy. They're like, "Hey, where is he? What's going on? Let's go check his room." They go to check his room, and he's completely passed out on the floor. Everybody's really concerned. They grab him, bring him to the infirmary. When they bring him over to the infirmary, they think that he's okay. Well, Alita thinks that he's okay because the eyelids are moving around, but the nurse says that no, he must be dreaming and he's not waking up. So I need to call the hospital. The hospital comes, goes to put him in a gurney, and Jeremy's having that same exact dream he had in the math class to where he's in a hallway and darkness is starting to seep into the hallway and starts to consume him and he starts to run away from it. This is specifically what it looks like. If we come back to this dream, I think two more times, and it's the exact same thing basically. Like, let me just show you exactly what's going on because me describing it, you might not. I mean, I'm describing it in a good way, but you still, you want to see what it looks like. This is exactly what it looks like when he's in this hallway and the darkness starts to like seep in and he has to like run away from it. That's what's going on. We turn back. Okay. So after that happens, Alita and Odd both walk out of the nurse's office and they're like, hey, what's going on with Jeremy? What could have happened? Now, the only thing that can happen and the only thing that they have in their minds is something had to happen during the last return to the past. Now, or can you be like, well, what? You think Xana did something? They don't know. So now they're going to split up. Orc and Yumi are gonna go search Jeremy's room. They don't really want to, but I mean, they're gonna have to find some sort of clues. While Odd and Alita go to the factory to see if there's something that happened on the main computer that Jeremy was using. Okay, that's the plan. Here's one really nice shot of Alita and one really nice shot of Oric and Yumi. Here's it is. So whenever we go to Jeremy's room, it's kind of funny and kind of confusing because while they're searching his room, Oric finds a bunch of underwear and he goes, "Well, I can't find anything right now besides from Jeremy likes to wear underwear with kangaroos on them." Now the underwear is blank. It's completely blank. There's no kangaroos, but they do a sound effect to indicate it is a kangaroo. And even as a kid, I'm like, "What?" I don't know if there's like a well, when I say this, it doesn't really make sense, but I don't know if there's like an uncensored version of this scene because when you hear uncensored, you're assuming that they're showing something inappropriate and they're censoring it. So you have to find an uncensored version, but they're just showing underwear with kangaroos. And the scene shows the underwear. There's just no kangaroo up there. So what is Org talking about? You get what I'm saying? Like there's no kangaroo on the underwear. And if you want to say, oh, it's inappropriate to show underwear, they're showing the underwear. There's just no kangaroo. And we've seen Yumi in her underwear in this series multiple times. We've seen Sissy in her underwear, and we see her in the underwear and her bra. We even saw that in the very first episode of the whole series. She was just chilling in her underwear and bra. So I don't know why. I mean, I'm not trying to say I want to see the underwear again, the kangaroo, but they make a specific joke and point and a sound effect of the kangaroo and the underwear, but there's nothing on the underwear. Like what? Like you get what I'm saying? Like when I was a kid watching this on my 3DS, I rewind it like maybe 2, 3 times. Like, am I missing something? Like I hear the sound effect, like it zooms in. Like, can I not see? Like I pause it. Like what's happening? Like what I'm about to show now isn't the underwear. I'm just showing the really nice shot of Yumi and Oric. But still, I was like, what? What are they talking about? Like what? What underwear? What? What kangaroo? Like that really confused me when I was younger. Like, what in the world? But anyway, yeah, that's what happens. But they go on his computer and they find a bunch of files, and they can go into the files, nothing too crazy. But there's this one file they can't get into, it's locked. Then we go over to Aelita and Odd, and Aelita's looking at the Return of the Past schematics, and she goes, "Well, the last Return of the Past it looks like it kind of used a bit more power than usual, but nothing too out of the ordinary, so I don't know what could have possibly happened." Obviously, Oric, they call Alita, "We're going to need your help." Alita goes over to Jeremy's room and starts to hack into that file, is able to get into it. Now, that file contains a bunch of videos, and these videos were taken pretty recently. I thought it was going to be a really funny thing to where it had like a password to it. They don't know the password, so they would have been like, try Alita's birthday. Or just try the word Alita. Like that would have been funny. I would have been cracking up. It was just like Alita or Pink or something, to indicate Alita. Oh no, you don't mean what? No, you know what they should have did? It would have been hilarious. If the password would have been Jerlita. The ship name for Jeremy and Alita. It's not Alita. It's not Jeremy. What could it be? Try Jerlita. Hey, where'd you? That would be funny. By the way, it's a bunch of video files, so they clicked on the most recent one, and the video files is of Jeremy. Now, Jeremy specifically says in the video that he wants to make a sort of video file essay, not essay, but video journal, sort of like the same type of journals that Frank Hopper left behind, but they're just in text form. Jeremy wants to do the exact same thing, but on video form. So just in case something happens to him, somebody can just keep continuing his research. Now, in the video, he specifically states that he was going through Franz Hopper's journals and he found something really interesting. You're able to exponentially make yourself smarter by doing Return to the Past. Now, they don't go into major detail on exactly how, but he does say you can make yourself super smarter by doing Return to the Past. And you have to wear this neural headset. Like I said, they don't go into super detail on exactly how that works, but I'm assuming you just have to wear that headset, do Return to the Past, and then boom, you become super smarter. Now he says he's been doing this so he can get more information and more data on the antivirus for Alita. Now, when I say more data, he's not like gaining data from doing this, but he's making himself smarter so he can get closer to getting to the antivirus. And then they click off that video, and it's really funny because these videos are so low quality, like they're like pixelated. I don't know why. I don't know why they're so pixelated. These videos, like Jeremy couldn't get a better webcam or something. Not saying I get the best one either, but I just found that really funny. Like they're so pixelated, like you can barely see anything. So when that happens, they click off of it and they go to the most recent one. And this always bothered me as a kid. When they go to the most recent video that he took, it's not like the most recent one because there's 6 videos and they go to the fifth one. So there's one in front of the one they click on, but they say this is the most recent one. So I guess the one in front of that one is just a placeholder until he creates a video in it. But anyway, inside the video, he specifically states that he has been getting really smarter by doing this, and he has been also getting really close to getting the antivirus. But the problem is, every single time he does this, his mental health and his physical health goes down drastically. Obviously, that's really bad, but I mean, hey, there's no other way for this to happen. I mean, for me to get smarter, and as soon as they click off the video, okay, that makes sense. No wonder he passed out when we found him. No wonder that he's been acting really grumpy and crazier ever since for like the last week or two because he's been doing this constantly. So they're like, okay, well, is there any way that we can help him? But I don't know. So Alita and well, no, everybody is gonna go to the factory to go to see if there's any sort of thing they can use there to help Jeremy. While Yumi says, you know what? I want to make sure Xana doesn't plan anything, so I'm gonna go to where Jeremy is right now and just check up on him. Okay, yeah, that's the plan. As soon as we go over to the ambulance that's outside that where Jeremy get put into, Xana activates, takes control of the ambulance, and drives away. So Yumi gets on a bike and starts to follow it. That's what I'm talking about. Like not even hesitation. Like I can't follow that. I don't have a car. Get yourself a bike, baby. Get on that Joker, boy. And he starts to just pedal for her life. I found it kind of weird that when they put Jeremy in the ambulance, not Doctor, Mr. Delmos, the principal, he tells the guy driving the ambulance, "Hey, come over here. There's a few things you have to sign first." I'm like, yo, they have no idea how. I mean, obviously, Jeremy just seems relatively fine, besides him just not waking up. But they don't know how serious this is. So how about we just hurry up to the hospital? I mean, yeah, maybe there's some stuff you have to sign to where you can't exactly leave. I remember during Killer Music, I don't remember them having to sign anything. They just instantly skirted off as soon as I got in there. Now, granted, Oz pulse was getting lower and lower by the minute. So yeah, you have to hurry up. So I guess you're not allowed to sign this stuff just yet. But so I'm like, what? Man, get this boy to the hospital. I'm not signing this. Like, you're smoking, man. I don't know what Mr. Dumboss is talking about. Top of, hey, come sign this stuff real quick before you leave with that kid in the ambulance. Like, what? He is crazy. I think about it, it's just so funny, but he is crazy. I don't know what he's trying to do. But yeah, Yumi gets on the bike and starts to go away. Let me make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself. Okay, no, okay, I'm right here. So after that, Yumi calls everybody and tells them what's going on, and says, "Hey, I'm gonna try to catch up to the ambulance on the bike, but obviously I'm on a bike, so I'm gonna need you guys to hurry up and deactivate this tower." They go okie dokie. They do like a little delayed time virtualization to go inside the scanner to get virtualized on Lyoko, and there's Odd, Oric, and Alita in the ice sector. They can somewhere see the tower in the distance, and also since there's nobody on the computer, she can't materialize them on Lyoko and their vehicle, so they're gonna have to walk and run like the good old days. Now Yumi's on her bike and she's pedaling for her life. Well, not her bike, but she's on a bike and she's pedaling for her life. She gets somewhat close to the ambulance, but then the ambulance starts to crank up the speed and it drives away. So Yumi was like this close, but he just got really faster, so he has to keep on pedaling. And look at this, man. You need a friend like Yumi. You need a friend like Yumi, man. 10 toes right there. Get on the bike and she is just pedaling for her life. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, eventually, Yumi's able to get right next to the ambulance again by doing some really good maneuvers around the city. So she specifically like goes down the stairway, she like goes around the corner, like just maneuvering around the city that's not just on the street to get close to it. And while this is happening, we do cut back over to the dream that Yumi's having again, to where the hallway's getting darker and darker, and he's trying to get to the light, but he just can't do it. Like he's like so close. And look at this, like Yui, man, no MVP, MVP. That's what I'm talking about. Let me pull down my hood a little bit because the next scene is like a reflection on the TV. But MVP, man, she like comes down. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. You need a friend like Yumi. You need a friend like Yumi, boy. But she's able to get next to the ambulance, open up the door, and jump inside. And she starts shaking Jeremy like, Jeremy, you need to wake up. You need to wake up, Jeremy. Come on, wake up, wake up. But he's just not waking up. Until eventually the whole hallway is blackened out. He's getting somewhat close to the light, but then he wakes up. Now Yumi opens up the door. He goes, "Come on, let's go." Jeremy instantly closes it. Whoa! Shouldn't we stop the ambulance first? Like, what are you doing? But do you have any other bright ideas? Because we're kind of going towards the river right now. What? Yeah, Xana does like a U-turn. It's driving straight towards the river. So yeah, they're gonna need a plan ASAP. We'll go back over to the Lyoko warriors on Lyoko. And when we get there, Xana, it kind of seems like Xana materializes when they get like super close to the tower. It kind of like he materializes three tarantulas, but I think he actually materializes four. I think one is just kind of off screen for my TV, but yeah, I think it's four. So then they're like, "Hey, what are we gonna do?" Oryx says that he has a plan, and he does his really cool. Well, not his, like it's not like a main thing he always does, but he does like this really cool spin move with his sword and stabs his sword into the ice. Then Odd he shoots a few laser arrows into the ice too, and then all the ice around them breaks up, and now they're floating on little iceberg pieces. Now some of the tarantulas, I think specifically two of them, fall into the water. Now this water isn't specifically the digital sea. The digital sea is underneath the whole platform they're on, but this is just called a water on Lyoko. So I don't know if this is okay to go. I can't remember a specific scene to where like Odd or somebody falls into the natural water of Lyoko in the ice sector and not the digital sea. Like, is it okay to fall into natural water? I think so. It should be fine. Like they specifically say the digital sea is the bad water, obviously. But this like sort of natural sort of water that's on the ice, I think it should be fine. I don't remember a specific moment to where they fell in, but they should be fine. And even whenever monsters fall into the digital sea, they die and explode. But when the two tarantulas fall into this water, they don't explode, but they don't come back up because, well, they can't swim. So I guess they just, I guess they just drown. I guess they just drown. But I guess they just drown, but they don't blow up. Like we don't see the blow up animation. But here's the really cool set I was talking about when he did that really cool spin animation. Where he stabs it, and now they're on a bunch of floating icebergs. Now that happens, they're kind of just on a floating iceberg. It doesn't destroy all the tarantulas, just two of them. We go back over to Yumi's side and see not his let's see, what's his name? Jeremy breaks the glass in between the back of the truck and the front of the truck. Yumi jumps through, gets in the driver's seat, and she slams on the brakes, but Xana's controlling the car, so the brakes aren't working. Eventually, the car gets thrown into the river, and now they're at the bottom of the river. Now, at first I was like, yo, why didn't they just, jump out the van while it was mid-air over the river so they can swim? Maybe it was going too fast, they didn't have enough time to, okay. Then I was like, okay, why don't they just sort of swim? Because we specifically see how far the van goes. It's not that deep underwater. Now, yes, it's deep underwater, but it's not like that deep to where they're not going to be able to make it up to the surface in time because they can't swim for that long. And not that deep to where the water pressure is going to kill them. So they could swim. Now, Jeremy is feeling a little weak right now because he did faint for a long time, so maybe he won't be able to do that. But you be strong enough to grab Jeremy and swim to the top. So I don't know. I always thought about that as a kid. If I was in this situation, I can't swim, but I can just be able to travel the water. Push myself like I do. Like how you do when you push yourself down and push yourself up. They should be able to do that. They're not that far underwater to where it's impossible to break the glass and to swim up. I don't know. I don't know why they don't do that, but yeah, they're kind of just stuck right now, and they're calling for help. Like, hey, what are we gonna do? Like, this is bad. This is very very bad. So we go back over to Lyoko. I don't know why, but I found this scene so funny because when they're all on the floating ice blocks and they're just standing there, like, so, what do we do now? Orc goes, and then Tarantula shoots him, and in one shot, he gets devirtualized. That was so funny to me. What made it even funnier is that whenever he gets rematerialized in the scanner, he's just standing there. Because usually every time they get rematerialized, they're breathing, they're huffing and puffing, they're in a different position. But no, he goes, dies, just stands there. He's just standing. He's a really cool shot. I'm not gonna lie, I really like this shot. But he's just standing there. I'm like, what? What are you? That was funny. That was really funny. That had me cracking up. I was cracking up seeing that. But yeah, he's like, boom. So then Odd, he jumps over to one of the tarantulas. He's able to take it out, but there's still one left. And so, oh, that jump was so fast. So anyway, after that happens, Odd takes out one of the tarantulas, then the tarantula takes out him. Alita creates an ice slide by singing. I mean, an ice bridge, but while she's running up it, the last tarantula shoots at her and she slips and falls. And then she starts to slide down the ice bridge, which is pretty cool. And eventually she makes it to the tower, does CodeLyoko, but they still need to return to the past in order to get out of the situation at the end underneath the river. So then, uh, sorry, I'm stuttering. Ulrich went over to the computer, is talking to Yumi on the phone. And so Yumi gives the phone to Jeremy, and Jeremy tells Ulrich what to do step by step to do Return to the Past. And he's able to do it. But it was kind of nerve wracking because, when he's like explaining it to him, he goes, whoa, not so fast. Okay, well, what button again? Is it this one? And all the water's creeping into the car more and more and more. So, you're like, hurry up. Like, you're like, yo, you don't have that much time. Like, listen, Orc. I mean, Jeremy was probably talking really fast, but still, you're like, please listen, please listen. And yeah, he does able to do Return to the Past. So then we go back over to the Venomous scenes again, and when we do, Jeremy's not there. And Orc's like, "Are you kidding me? Don't tell me he passed out again." So we go back to his room, and he's destroying that headset that he wears to make himself stronger. Jeremy says that all his calculations that he's been making ever since he wore the headset has been wrong. So that kind of sucks because I was like, "What?" So that means you were just like degrading your own health for no reason? Jeremy goes, well, not exactly. Now, when I was getting smarter by wearing the headset, I was able to get on the right track to the antivirus, but all the calculations after getting on the right track are wrong. But now I have like a clear way to go. So I just have to do it on myself now with my own strength. I mean, or it does bring up the idea that maybe we have two enemies in Xana and Frank's Hopper. Like maybe Frank's Hopper sort of made up the lie of getting smarter with the headset. Jeremy's like, no, no, the headset actually did work and made me stronger. He's definitely our ally, but he's like way more smarter than us. Like he's a genius, so we have to be careful on what information we use. Not that is bad information, but we're not gonna fully understand how to work this information, and because of that, it could hurt us. So we have to be careful on whatever we do use and don't. And Alita goes, well, anyway, I'm just glad you're gonna be back to normal and you're not gonna be so grouchy. He goes, yeah, I don't want to be grouchy like some people. And they all look at Oric, and Oric's like, what? I'm not, I'm not grouchy. They're like, yeah, I. And they just took the laugh, and then that. Oh, sorry, I hit my camera. They all took the laugh, and that's the end of the episode. So that was good. That was a pretty good episode. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of want to show that one shot of, of Orc. It was just so funny. I don't know why that was so funny to me. When he got devirtualized, do you have any other bright ideas? Uh, what made it funny, it was one shot. Like he got devirtualized in one shot. Now they do know, I mean, they do hype up that the tarantulas are like, really strong. Like the lasers they have are really strong. But still, I'm like, what? One shot? One shot is crazy. Look at this. Boom. And then he just comes back inside of the scanner, just standing there. Like, what? So what do you just stand there perfectly? Yeah, but that's the episode for you guys today. So, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all later. Thank you all for watching. I thank you all out of me woman. I thank you all out of me woman human beings, and I'll see you all next time. All right, bye bye. Actually, when I end it, I'll show this one shot. I do like this one shot. Let me just make sure I get it on the end button really quickly. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that for not talking for like 3 seconds. I'm just trying to ended on this last shot of the Lyoko Warriors. And I gotta make sure my TV is in a certain way because when I was doing my Young Justice reviews, it wasn't the camera angles were kind of bad.